It's your boy, Ed the Dread, aka Eddie Money Mouth, and you are tuned in to the Money Mouth Podcast. Bow, 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 bow. Welcome to your Money Mouth Monday, baby. Yes, we are just going to get straight into it. Today's podcast is going to be a number of topics that relate to a quote that I heard the other day from a Stanford professor of psychiatry and addiction, and her name is Anna Lempke. The quote being, "The more advanced the language, the more sophisticated the lies." Okay, I'm just going to touch base on this, pertaining to our society and my background with multiple languages. So clearly, I speak English, but I have taken elementary Spanish up to Spanish 2B roughly 3 times in my career as a student, in the middle school level, the high school level, and the college level. I've taken a few trips to Costa Rica and been immersed in the language. So Spanish, I'm pretty good conversationally on the elementary level, and I've taught it at the elementary level in high school. 2 years, one at Hana School and one here at Baldwin. Now, I also have studied Olelo, Hawaii for 2 years at the college level, and spoke it as much as possible living in Hana here on Maui. And currently, I kelekiko au ya ko hoaloha kumuyu uh, maka olelo vale no. So when we communicate in text message, we only text in Olelo. So I don't really speak much per se, other than, olis that I do in my daily routine. But text messages with one friend who is now immersed in immersion school, who speaks every day. The only texting that we do is through Olelo. And currently, I've got a 65-day streak, on Duolingo for Indonesian. I would say that roughly conversationally, I'm good in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Olelo, and learning a 4th language, which I spend, 15 to 20 minutes a day trying to immerse myself in. So getting back to the quote directly, which is, again, the more advanced the language, the more sophisticated the lies. If we take a look at the world that we have today, clearly most of the business and marketing and such are done in English. The American culture and capitalism has basically permeated the world, thanks to, England originally with their great colonization schemes, and then the U.S. breaking off from England and doing our thing, right? But as of now, 2024, I mean, we've got AI that can make deep fakes. We've got politicians that'll tell you anything to get you to vote for them. We have commercials that'll tell you anything to get you to buy a product. News outlets that will tell you anything to sway your view in a certain way. I mean, it's let alone just the human next to you telling you anything. I mean, I've been a teacher in the high school setting for roughly 5 years now. I'm 5 seasons deep, super senior. And I'll tell you, before I joined the mass of, teenagers, I didn't believe much of what adults said to me. I worked at a bar. I did, and people were just like half drunk and just whatever all the time and just saying anything. But I mean, I currently live by the standard of, I'll say roughly 70% of what's coming out of 70% of people's mouths is going to be some sort of, fabrication. It might not be a total outright blatant lie, but I'm sure that it would be some sort of embellishment of that truth to make it sound a little bit better, or just, to change it to make someone or a certain thing look in a better light than it actually is. So, with that said, we live in, or at least personally, in American society, we live in a society that is filled with lies, and all sorts of issues going on. You know, when we think about the advanced languages, the four languages that I personally have some sort of vested interest in, three of them have letters that make phonetic sounds, right? Indonesian, Olelo Hawaii, and Spanish. And then English has multiple different sounds for vowels, right? Multiple different sounds for other letters. They're silent letters, different sound combinations creating different sounds, right? Whereas Spanish, you might have certain letter combos that make a sound like the ch, uh, and you have, inye, inme, ine, which may confuse people and make different sounds at certain times. But generally speaking, especially in the vowel world where it's the most confusing in English, these other three languages are just straightforward, one sound per each vowel, right? You also get into the structure of sentences, right? A lot of times, when you hear someone from another language learning English, they have, the word combinations all jumbled up. And that being like a lot of these other languages put like the action and or the thing that's happening or the thing that's being spoken about before the person that's doing it. And I'm not super deep into Indonesian yet, but it seems that way as well, right? So when you think about those aspects, as far as languages go, you would definitely say that English is a more sophisticated or advanced language. It just takes so much more effort to learn it. I believe that, in reading about learning languages, it's one of the top 3 to 5 most difficult languages to learn. Um, so, uh, with that said, another thing that strikes me when it comes to societies that have differences in languages, I mean, when you look at Spanish and English being what I would consider like a colonizer language, right? Gone around the world, made people speak this language, stomped out all other languages that were in the areas and regions that this was brought, right? There's a huge difference in genders. So in Spanish specifically, I mean, there's masculine and feminine endings for nouns. You change words, depending on who is being spoken about and or who is doing the speaking. In English, we've got the battle of pronouns nowadays, which, is by no means fluid across any boards. But when you have Olelo Hawaii and Indonesian or Bahasa Indonesia, the pronouns for genders are just the same word. So there's no difference in a he or a she, right? It's just ia, or dia, actually. So, in those two languages, pretty much the same. But that one word or that one pronoun is used for both male and female and aforementioned any other thing previously in the sentence. So when it comes to this whole like gender roles and pronoun use and things along those lines, which are very ingrained in our society at this point, you can definitely see that with the more advanced language, those roles and those uses are very, very, very more clearly defined. And in those societies, I mean, you see American society, look at what we have going on. I mean, when I went to Costa Rica, the one crazy thing that happened all the time was everyone asked me if I was gay. Eres maicon? It's like, fuck no, man. Like, just because I would say that I didn't eat, no como queso, no bebo leche, no como carne, no como pollo. Because of those things, people would just think I was gay. Like, I don't eat meat, I don't eat cheese, I don't drink milk, I don't do that stuff. But, in society where we have this macho versus feminine thing, you see these different crazy fucking scenarios play out. Whereas, it's very common nowadays for people in the LGBTQ world to reference these native societies. Oh, well, Native Americans have two spirits. Hawaiians have mahu, and it's like they'll go back to these societies and reference things that were prevalent in that society, which may or may not be written about and or remembered much, thanks to the stamping out of all history when the colonizers show up, right? But in the world of those languages that they spoke, again, just with my knowledge of the two that I know that are more indigenous than the other two, there was no difference in the pronoun. There is no difference in the gender. Right? So, again, just maybe a little bit off topic in pertaining to, sophistication of lies and the advancement of the language. But, just another view that I've seen, just being the human that I am. But please believe me, all of the ways that I said that lies were given to us are sophisticated. Like the person running the ad that's polling to get you to go vote for them. I mean, I remember when they were trying to convince us to run for office when we were in elementary school. And it was like, I didn't even want to do it, but it was like, oh, like, should you? And then it's just like, oh, it's just a popularity contest, really. You're going to say whatever you can to get the homies to vote for you. Hey, homies, we're going to have PE every day. We're going to have pizza not just on Friday, and it's not going to be that square crappy one. It's going to be like a full-on Pizza Hut. Yay. And then everybody votes for you and they're stoked on you, but you can't do none of that shit. You're some little kid talking shit. But that's literally exactly what's happening with the politicians, right? The news outlets, I mean, come on. Look at the sophistication behind that. Not only are they just impeding across all platforms, right? But now they have the advancement of big data. So it's not just like they know what channel your TV is on while you're watching it anymore. It's like they know like every aspect of what's going on, what you're touching, what you're doing, ding, 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 ding. So they're getting into you regardless. Right. And again, those things alone, the algorithms and the technology may not have much to do with the language, period. But if we think about these languages, their impact on societies, and now the advancement of capitalism and the advancement of all of this technology in the realm of money making, as opposed to, embetterment of societies and, world trade and commerce to be able to make everyone not starve, there's a huge difference, right? So there we have it. Ed the Dread's take on the more advanced the language, the more sophisticated the lies, and other things might pay along with languages, right? Thank you very much for your perspective. Again, that Stanford professor's name is Anna Lempke. I got the quote from like a after school program and not like a after school program at the DOE and that I'm involved with, like the after school YouTube channel. So check that out right up here. They've got some pretty dope stuff that might pique your interest, right? And if you liked it, click like. As always, bada bop. Smash that subscribe button and please share if you care. It was your boy Ed the Dread coming at you on Money Mouth Monday. We will catch you next week. Hui ho, kako. Yes, sir.